One of my most asked about topics, email marketing segmentation. Let's break down how to improve your deliverability, personalize the customer experience, and increase sales with these core segmentation practices. I'm going to be giving you some exact core segments that you can use to do all these processes. And I know segmentation is super scary. A lot of people make it sound so complicated, like this huge, massive thing that you need to do in your email marketing, but I'm going to break it down super easy for you, let you know what's BS, what's noise, and what the stuff is actually high leverage that you should focus on. Okay, let's get into it. There's me. If you want some more information, join my newsletter. It's free. So what is segmentation? So segments are very, very, very similar to lists, but in one key way. So lists are stagnant. So this is probably what you're thinking about with email marketing are your lists. As the name suggests, it's just a flat list of people, whereas segments are dynamic. They can change at any second based on the requirements that you set on the segment. And as the name suggests, it is just a segment of your full email list, a subset of people who meet certain characteristics that you provide. So inside of Klaviyo, it's just right under here, lists and segments are under the same part. You can see here are a bunch of lists with different people. These are not segments just because they don't say segment and they're not dynamic. They are static. So the possibilities are literally endless for your segments. You can do pretty much everything that you could ever want. So you have everything from basics, so like segment based on like general like email open behavior, what somebody's clicking, how often these people are doing that. Then you have things that are intermediate, where based on like recent store activity, such as like segmenting based on if somebody abandoned a cart recently, if somebody made a purchase recently. Then you have like pro, which is segmenting based on like specific email or flow engagement or like specific product category interest, all that good stuff. You can do all this. The possibilities are they're literally endless, but let's not get too complicated. This is the main thing I talk about with segmentation. Like, yes, you could hyper segment your list by their favorite color and their belly button, whether it's an innie or an outie. And yes, that would probably increase your conversion rate, but at what cost? So I always like to ask, like, would you rather send 1 to 2 targeted campaigns per week to different groups of 10,000 people, or 3 to 4 broader email campaigns a week to 50,000 people? The latter will outperform 99 times out of 100. I always prefer, like, our time is always limited in the day. And what I've experienced is that literally every single time, just by optimizing for sending more emails to more people, the revenue is always way more. Yes, there's a time and place for segmentation, but optimize first for getting like your core content out to as many people as possible. And then from there, once you really have that down, then you can focus on the segmentation. Like that's high leverage, being able to send good content to a lot more people rather than hyper specific content to a small group of people who might not even see your email because like they're busy. So I'll be sharing with you the high leverage stuff that you should be focusing on in this guide. So let's talk about why segment. So the purpose of it, segmentation allows you to pinpoint certain members of your list so you can gather data. That's one of the main things that I use segmentation for, gather data, and then also create targeted emails to send based on where they're at in the customer journey. So some benefits, the main benefits is you can make more sales from it if you do it the right way. You can improve your deliverability as long as you're focusing on like content in targeting the right people. You can save time with automation, so putting people into segments and having automations to send emails to these people based on characteristics, and then a personalized customer experience. That's the other thing that you don't really see too much like on revenue, but having customized experience really helps like the customer, makes them feel like valued. So basic use cases, kind of extending upon which we had before. So these are kind of like the 4 main use cases that you can use. So using engaged lists for improved deliverability. So you can segment your general list for campaigns to only include people who have recently opened or clicked emails so that you ensure you're only sending people who want to open your emails. This is the biggest use of segmentation, and you should never be sending an email campaign to your whole email list, except maybe like Black Friday or a massive announcement, because the truth is, a lot of people won't care about your brand, and a lot of people use fake email addresses, and so they're never going to open an email of yours. So by you continuing to send emails to these people who will never open your emails, they don't care about your brand, they changed email addresses, they used a fake email address. If you send to them, you're just ruining your deliverability, because if an inbox provider sees you're sending emails to a lot of people and not a lot of people are opening them, that's going to tell Google, be like, hey, not a lot of people want to receive these emails. Not a lot of people opened it. Let's send them to spam. And so if you can just only send to people who have opened your emails before, it's It's a huge difference on your deliverability in the long run and make sure that you will continue to land in the inbox. And then the next one, to interested customers for more sales. So you can target people who have been like active on your site or have like added items to their cart but haven't made a purchase, and send them extra content to try to get them across the line. That's something extra that you can do. A lot of this stuff can be taken care of with your flows and your automations, setting up just like your abandoned cart flow, for example, to send emails to people who abandoned a cart. But you can also send campaigns on top of this, like maybe a couple times a month. You send a special discount to people who have abandoned an item recently, but they haven't purchased. So that's something else that you can do. You could also do targeted campaigns based on product interests. So people who show interest in certain products or categories, you can send them information, like maybe you have a new colorway that came out for like your shoes, your clothing store. You have all sorts of different stuff, but you only want to send this like micro campaign to people who have bought shoes before or have looked at your shoes before. You can do that and send like more targeted campaigns to them without bothering the rest of your list. That's another use case. And another one, remove unengaged profiles for improved deliverability. So kind of tied to number one, but kind of the opposite, removing the unengaged profiles. So it's important to always track and suppress people who haven't been engaging with your emails, since customers will just naturally churn. You can't expect someone to be with you until they're 80 years old. They're going to naturally, there's going to be a point where they stop opening your emails. So since they aren't opening your emails, you want to remove them from your list so that you aren't harming your deliverability, to not send to them, and then also to save your Klaviyo bill so that you can know to suppress these people so that you're not getting charged by your active profiles. So those are the basic use cases. Now let's talk about the different types of segmentations, and then we'll get into like some actual core segments that we use. So this type of segmentation of email engagement segmentation. So it's great for deliverability and understanding how your list is responding to your emails. So we're just creating segments based on somebody's engagement with our emails, not with the store, just with our emails. So typically, you want to send most of your emails to just the people who are engaged. So don't send to the whole list, just send to like your 60-day engaged list, which I outlined here. You can judge engagement based on opens, clicks, bounces, and more. That's typically how you do it. So key segments are things like people who have opened an email in the past 60 days. Those are what you call your engaged profiles. This is what you want to be like your main segment. And again, I will be sharing definitions for all of these, like specific Klaviyo definitions, in just a few minutes. But that's like your engaged list. You have people who have clicked an email in the past 60 days. That's like your most engaged profiles. You have people who have subscribed to email marketing in the past 30 days. It's going to be like fresh profiles. So you can get a sense of how many people have been joining the list. You have people who have bounced at least one email over time, all time, which a bounce is essentially if you send an email to somebody and like the email isn't associated with anything anymore, it's like a fake email, then it'll result in like a bounce. So that's a high risk profile. We also have people who have marked an email as spam at least once. Uninterested, we want to suppress them. And then people who haven't opened an email at least once in the past 120 days, churned subscribers. So if you think about that, 120 days is a very, very long time. And so you don't want to be sending those people. That's 4 months. If you've been sending emails consistently and they haven't opened any in 4 months, they probably don't care. So you can put them to like churn subscribers and maybe send them emails like on Black Friday. So that's engagement-based segmentation. Now let's talk about store engagement segmentation. Very similar, but instead of talking about email, we're talking about their actual interactions on your store. So somebody could be engaged on your store, but not on your email list, and also the other way around. And so this is store engaged segmentation. So you can get a feel for where people are kind of like being lost in the funnel. So if you see a lot of people have been viewing a product, but they haven't been adding to cart, then you know that you might have like a product problem. So these segments and metrics allow you to track when people are viewing, adding to cart, making purchases. So some key segments, you have people who have viewed a product at least once in the past 30 days, but have not made a purchase during this time. That's like interested customers. They've gone on your site a bit, but they just haven't really found the item that they're ready to move on to make a purchase with. So then you have a step further. So people who've added a cart or started checkout in the past 30 days, but they haven't made a purchase. That's high likelihood to purchase. So these are people you really want to make sure that you're engaging. You have people who've placed an order, which would be like recent buyers. You have people who have placed an order 5+ times over all time. That's like VIP customers. And then you could do something even as far as like people who have viewed at least 3 products, but like haven't made a purchase. It's like window shoppers, like they're shopping around. So that's like store engagement. That's kind of like the stuff that you could do for that. You could also do location segmentation. So segmenting your list based on where they're at in the world. So this can be helpful for personalized targeted campaigns towards people in different areas, such as like if you have like in-person events, like we're putting an email together right now for a client for an in-person event. If it's like, hey, we're in San Diego, California, and we're having a pop-up store, you can search people who are in that city and then send them emails. This could also be different for like compliance. If you have compliance, email compliance stuff, or different stores for different countries, then you can have stuff custom to them. So common segments is just like segment customers based on like where your home state is or like your brand headquarters in case you have pop-up shops, or segment based on country. Nothing really you need to do there. And then we have a little bit advanced, we have predictive analytics segmentation. So this is a Klaviyo feature, which aren't perfect, but they give you some data to work with. And this is like kind of where I like to get information about people's lists. It just looks at certain customer behavior to predict certain like metrics or characteristics. So you can find high spenders who have like AOV calculations. So if we look here in Klaviyo, you can just go to create a segment, predictive analytics about somebody. If you go average order value, you can see how many people are in different cohorts of like average order value. So say your product, your store is typically a $50 average order value. You can create a segment of people whose average order value is $100 plus, and then segment that. It's probably, maybe you have like a couple thousand people. You could send them like large bundle deals, or if you have like a lot of stock that you want to get rid of, you could send them like a massive like, hey, buy $500 worth of stuff and you get like 50% off, something like that, and they're much more likely to purchase. So you have like predictive AOV. You can find VIP customers with customer lifetime value calculations with customer lifetime value right here. You could do that. You could segment and send timely messages to customers based on like their average time between purchases. So if you have a cohort where they usually buy like 45 days in between purchases, then you could set up a flow where like on day 40, you're sending reminders to somebody right at that time. And also like a big one that we use is segment based on like gender, and then like send specific products and emails based on the gender that that Klaviyo believes they are. And you can see these are the different options that Klaviyo gives you, so you can take this as far as you want. So those are the different types of segmentation. So now let's get to like the juicy stuff, which is actually like the key segments, the segments that we build out for all of our clients right off the bat, and stuff that we track over time. This is the 80-20 rule. These are the main ones that you want to use. All the other stuff is kind of noise, and you don't really need to worry too much about it. Just focus on these key segments. So this first one is the X-Day engaged email members. So this is for sending three or more emails per week. We found that to be optimal, 3 to 4 times a week across over 50 different e-com brands, 7 and 8 figures. Send 3 to 4 email campaigns a week, keeps you top of mind, and it allows you to like build that relationship with the customer. And as long as you send good content, then people will enjoy your emails and they won't find it annoying. We notice lower unsubscribe rates on this rather than sending like once per week. So this is your base engaged email segment for sending campaigns. So X stands for like whatever amount of days you want to do. I recommend starting off with a 60-day engaged list and only send emails to these people, like your general email campaigns, only send to people who have opened or clicked an email in the past 60 days. So we want to send this segment to ensure that we're only sending to people who want to receive our emails, to make sure we get high engagement rates, which will keep our deliverability high, rather than sending to our whole email list with fake profiles, churned subscribers. We don't want to send to those people who aren't going to open our emails. So only send to the engaged people. You can adjust this from any day that you want. I recommend starting with 30. I know I just said 60. That's like the base, but if you haven't really done any segmentation before, start with 30 day and slowly open your list to 60, 90, and 120 as your open rates go up. So we want to be at least 40% opens. So say you start off with your 30-day engaged list and you have like 35% opens, and you start sending consistently, you start focusing on your content, your open rate starts climbing. It goes from 35% to 40 to 45% to 50. Once you get to 50%, then it's like, okay, let's expand the list a little bit. Then you switch it from a 30-day engaged to a 60-day. And maybe you start back down at like 30%. And then keep sending emails to them. Now you're at 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. Now let's open it. And so that's what I always recommend until you get to like 90 or 120, and then you're good to stop there. So this is the definition inside of Klaviyo. Someone can receive email marketing because this person is subscribed. And we want to have someone has opened an email at least once in the last 60 days. Right between that, or someone has clicked an email at least once in the last 60 days. Now you're probably like, oh, well, somebody has to click an email. Someone has to open an email to click. So why do you have both? Sometimes Klaviyo doesn't track the opens. Sometimes it misses it. So this is just like a safety measure. And what someone has done, bounced email 0 times over all time, just to make sure we're not sending to like these fake profiles or people who have blocked us or something. So this is like the main list, where for my clients, this is where 90% of our emails are going, is just to this sort of list. And so moving on, we have the unengaged email members. So this is for sending like 1 email per month. Usually this is like for usually 1 campaign a month. We'll try to like unengage people. Typically you could have a specific email where it's like, hey, you're unengaged, take 10% off to come back. But typically we don't like to complicate it. We'll just send one of our regular campaigns that we're sending to the engaged list, which we just went over. We'll just send it to the engaged and the unengaged people to try to get these people back. We don't want to send every single email to these people because they're just going to hurt our sender reputation by driving down our open rates. But over time, we can send like once a month, typically is what I recommend. So the unengaged email members, this insinuates that they were engaged at some point. So we just set someone that's opened an email in the past but haven't done so recently. You can suppress these people if you want. So this is like a base segment that you can use. Someone can receive email marketing because they're subscribed. They've opened email at least once overall time, but they haven't opened or clicked an email in the past 90 days. So 3 months, you could change this from 90 days to 120 days. It really doesn't matter all that much. The difference between somebody not opening an email in 3 months versus 4 months isn't that big of a difference. It's really, all this is, you can do what you want. Just typically what we do is around 90 days. And then we'll still send emails to these people like once a month. But this is what the segment looks like. You can have it here for yourself. Again, this doc is in the description. Sorry if I didn't say that already. But you can have this for free. But yeah, there's that. Unengaged email members right there. This next one, a little bit more fun, high potential purchasers. So this is for sending 1 to 2 times extra emails per month on top of your engaged list sends, and then these people are also getting abandonment flows. So high potential purchasers. This is a set of people who have been active on your site and have made it somewhere in the funnel, but they just haven't made a purchase yet. So high potential. You can send them more emails to try to get them over the edge to increase your sales. So maybe you have like a specific sale that you're willing to run for some people. This is the type of list that you want to send that to. Like, you don't want to send it to everybody, but you're open to run a sale to a specific number of people, people that otherwise would be lost, then you can send this stuff. So this is the definition that we use for high potential purchasers. You say someone can receive email marketing because they're subscribed. They've placed an order 0 times in the past 30 days. So high potential purchasers, they're not purchasers right now. So 0 times in the past 30 days, and they've been active on site at least once, or you don't want to say and, you want to make sure it says or. They have viewed a product at least once in the past 30 days, or they've added a cart, or they've started checkout, all in the past 30 days. If they've done any of those, so they've gone to checkout, they've added to cart, or they've been active on site, anything, then they will receive this. Now, you might think this is a little bit redundant because if somebody adds an item to cart, that means they had to have been active on site. Sometimes Klaviyo doesn't track these things. Maybe one of your triggers isn't set up right, so it's not firing. This is just a precaution. It's not going to hurt you. Use all of these just to be safe. And so this is what it looks like inside of Klaviyo. It's a lot more stuff. So you can see this is someone can receive email marketing and they've been active on site or viewed product or added to cart or checkout started, and they've placed an order 0 times in the past 30 days. So that's a segment that you want to create for high potential purchasers and send them like an extra 1 to 2 emails per month if you choose to do so, with like an extra sale or just an extra push to try to get them over the edge. Then we have VIP customers, which is another fun one. So this is something you can send 1 extra email per month. I wouldn't do more than this. It's just a little bit too much for a very small subset of your list, because they're also getting all the engaged list emails if they're engaged in your emails, but they're getting the engaged list sent as well. So pretty self-explanatory. They're fans of your brand and they keep coming back. So you can choose to make your VIP list either on like the number of purchases somebody has made or the total amount spent at your store. Completely preference based. Me as a marketer, I prefer total number of purchases because you can predict it a little bit better and send emails every purchase letting people know how many purchases they are from the VIP list. So for example, if we do like on your 5th purchase, you're a VIP member, then that means like after somebody makes their 4th purchase, we can be like, yo, you're 1 purchase away from getting like a free gift or something and being on our VIP list with exclusive information. So then it's a lot easier to get sales that way. And you can do that for like the 3rd purchase as well. Whereas if you do like a total value spend of like $1,000, it's a lot more difficult to predict that, because if somebody's at like $900 spent and you're like, yo, it's harder to say. It's a little bit more cheap. Not like it's like sales day to be like, you have to give us $100 more and we'll give you a gift, rather than like you place another order. And it's a little bit harder to predict the number. Like you're so close to being a member and they are at like $950 spent of like the 1,000. So you think like maybe it's 1 purchase, but then they buy just like a $20 item, like a small one, and then they don't make it, and then they might get upset. So that's kind of what I recommend. It's a very good idea to have like a simple VIP email flow to anybody who like joins the segment, thanking them and give them some exclusive content, and like a generous offer is always what I recommend. And it's smart to send a VIP email at least once a quarter with like an exclusive deal or offer. You can send like 1 extra email per month, just like with exclusive content, at least once a quarter. You can try to give these people a special offer. So definition, like a base definition, this is what I like to do. They can receive email marketing and they've placed an order at least 5 times over all time. Super simple. You can do a little bit more fancy stuff. You could say they placed an order at least 5 times and they've spent at least $500 at your store. It's just a little bit harder to predict, and so I always prefer to do like 5. But that is VIP customers. Now we have win-back potential customers. So this is for sending like 1 extra email per month on top of your engaged list sends. Kind of similar to unengaged, but unengaged is for email engagement. Win-back is for past customers. So this list is exclusive to people who have bought a certain period of time ago, but they haven't purchased recently. The amount of time is going to vary based on like the store and the average buying period in between purchases. Like if you sell hot tubs, probably have a couple years in between purchases typically if there is another purchase, and so you might want to have a win back campaign to try to get people back like way later, whereas like for a supplement brand where you sell in like 30-day servings, after like 30 days you want to have a win back campaign. So for this group, you want to have a few flow emails to fire when they enter this segment to encourage these people to come back and make another purchase. And it may be a good idea to later in the flow give them a discount if they haven't purchased yet. Something like a supplement where every 30 days, it's like a 30-day trial, then you might want to start your win back campaign like on day 45. Like it's been, hey, you've used up all your supplement, like do you want to come back? How did you like it? And then send them a couple reminders to like try to get them back, and then maybe send them a discount. So base definition is definitely going to depend on your store and like what your numbers and average buying periods are. But for this one, it could be your win back period could be a period of like 60 days. So after 3 months, so say someone can receive email marketing, they place an order at least once in the past 150 days, but they've placed orders 0 times in the last 90 days. So that means their last order was between 90 and 150 days ago. So we have this 60-day period here where they're win back eligible, and whereas like after it gets to 150 days, it's like, okay, they're not interested. They maybe went with a competitor and they're more in a longer term win back flow. But this one is like a buying period where we might want to send them a couple extra emails and trigger them into a flow. So this win back potential, they can't receive email marketing and they've placed order at least once in the last 150 days. You could change this, and they've placed orders 0 times in the last 90 days. So that's win back potential. Now let's talk about the suppress list, which is another sad one, but this is for not sending any emails to. So this is an email segment that is used for people who aren't engaging with any of your emails and or they're high risk profiles that don't deserve to be sent emails because they'll just ruin our email reputation, as I discussed earlier. So you should be looking at this list once a month and suppressing these profiles to save yourself on deliverability, and then also costs on your Klaviyo bill, which charges you based on like your email profiles. So base definition, these are the people that you want to suppress. Someone has opened an email 0 times in the past 180 days. Personally, I suppress all these people just to save costs, or someone has bounced an email. If anybody bounces an email, I don't want to email you, or somebody has like marked an email as spam at least once over all time. So this is the base list that I use, and automatically we'll have this on the suppress list, and then once a month we'll look at the suppress list and then just suppress right in Klaviyo. You can just click on the settings of the list or of the segment and mark them as suppressed. So that's what I do. A little bit more advanced here, we have an interested in X product or a category. This is for sending 1 to 2 extra emails per month if you want, on top of engaged list sends. This is a list of people who have had any interest in a specific product or category in the store. And this will depend store to store on like the different categories you want to set, but it's a great way to track what the interests are in your store. And then if you have any specific sales, announcements, or releases related to the items that you set in your segment, then you can send that to this group, anybody who is interested. So you could do this by product or category. Whatever you have in Shopify, you can do both if you want. Just depends on how you have organized things in Shopify. So customize it in the segment definition to choose either product or category, which I'll show you here in a second. So this is the definition that we go for. This is for a category example. Just change it to product rather than collection. So all you do is someone can receive email marketing, and they have viewed an item at least once, where the category is whatever your category is, at least once, or they've added an item to cart, or someone has started checkout where collection is this item, or they have placed an order where collection is this item. So here's the base definition for a category, not product. For product, you just want to change the category and collection to product, but you say someone can receive email marketing because this person is subscribed. Someone has viewed an item where the category is this at least once, or they've added to cart where the category is that over all time, or they've started checkout where that's their collection, or someone has placed an order where that's their collection. So these are going to be a little bit different in Shopify, a little bit advanced, but I think you can figure it out because these Klaviyo and added to cart metrics, these are within Klaviyo, and via Klaviyo's like Klaviyo's, I can't think of the word, but how Klaviyo connects to Shopify, whereas these are native Shopify triggers, start a checkout and place order. So they use collections, whereas Klaviyo uses categories. So you'll be able to figure it out as long as you have everything organized in Shopify. Just create the segment, you'll be good. So there's this, make all the segments you want for all the products and categories you want. And then we have like the X cross-sell for whatever you want, which you could send 1 to 2 extra emails per month on top of your engaged list sends, or you can just set up flows to take care of this for you. So there's a list of people who have purchased an item or category in the store that you set. So if you have a common cross-sell, you can create the segment to people who purchase one item so that you know this person has purchased this item. Now let's try to cross-sell them to this item. So you can do this, again, for both products or specific categories, and you can customize the filter to choose the product or category you want. So definition for this category, someone can receive email marketing, and someone has placed an order where the item is the specific item. So say, let's go back to the shoe example. Say I have white shoes. Say there's one pair of white shoes in your store, and you release like a white pair of socks, and people often buy them together. Then if I buy the white shoes, then I can be added to this segment to where you then can be like, okay, this person bought white shoes, let's try to sell them white socks. And then you can set like a cross-sell flow where, okay, somebody entered this segment, let's try to push them, let's create an email that sells them on socks and tell them specifically, you bought these awesome white shoes, match them with white socks. And so that's something you can do, literally as simple as this. Someone can receive email marketing and they've placed an order at least once over all time where the collection equals whatever it is. In this case, it was protein. You could also, if you want to, say it was protein and we are trying to cross-sell them pre-workout, and you don't want to send an email to anybody who's bought pre-workout before, that's something you could do as well. You just add another condition, say someone has placed order at least once over all time where collections contains protein, and then add an and, so add another condition right here and say, and someone has placed an order 0 times over all time where collections equals pre-workout. And then send an email to anybody who joins this list, set up a flow that says, hey, you bought protein, you want to make the most out of your workout, by our pre-workout, and that'll work really well. So let's go over a bonus segmentation hack, which I like to do. Received X email but didn't open. So this is going to be less of a dynamic segment and more of like one that you do on a case-by-case situation, but we're creating a segment for people who received an email but didn't open it. So there's a very useful segment trick that you can use to resend important emails to people who like didn't open your original email. So say you have like an important email for like Black Friday or whatever, but someone could be busy at the time you sent the email and they just didn't have a chance to look at it. If it's an important email, you can just resend to anybody who didn't open it like 1 to 2 days later. And this segment and resending this using this little trick will help you get the most out of your email. So we often use this for product releases, big sales, or big announcements. Just wait a day or two. We got 60% opens on the initial email. That means 40% of people didn't open. Okay, let's take that 40%, use this segment trick, and resend the email to them with like a different subject line and a different preview text, so it doesn't look like we sent the same thing over and over again if they did see the first one, but just didn't open. So step 1, all you have to do is click onto your specific email. So I just clicked on, I'm in campaigns. I click on the campaign. This is like where the name of it would be. You can see 42% opened. All we want to do is we want to grab this little code right here. So this is the campaign message ID. This is how Klaviyo tracks the campaign. So we just want to copy this. That's all step 1 is. Click onto it and for the email that you want to resend, and then copy the long code in the URL. Step 2, we are actually creating the segment of people who received that email but didn't open it. So all you want to do is create a segment with the following conditions. Someone has received email at least once over all time where message, that's the little the metric thing inside of Klaviyo that you want to do, where message equals, and then paste your code. So that means someone received it, and then you want to say someone has opened email 0 times over all time where message equals, paste that code. So this is what it looks like in Klaviyo. Received X email but didn't open. Someone has done received at least once over all time where message equals that code, and then it's going to show up the name of the campaign. And they've opened email 0 times where message equals that code. That's all there is. So now you have the list of anybody who didn't open. Then step 3, just duplicate the campaign and send to that segment. You can duplicate it. You could keep the same subject line and preview text, or you could slightly change it. I always recommend slightly changing it. Instant revenue booster there. So just an extra tip. Again, do not get too carried away with your segments. Just cover the basics and do them well before going crazy with segmentation. A lot of the intricate stuff here is It might help conversions a couple percent, give you a couple extra revenue, but at what cost? It's like if you're distracting yourself from like the basics, and really if you're trying to do all this crazy segmentation, but you don't even have 8 emails in your abandoned cart flow, what are you doing? That's easy low hanging fruit. If you're trying to do all this stuff and your pop-up form is pop-up form is only converting 3%, what are you doing? Focus on that. Focus on the highest leverage stuff first and then move here. So that's my last tip. That is it for this one. Thank you for reading, watching. Glad you got some value. Hopefully you did. Join my free daily newsletter. It's free. You get daily email for 30 days. Where to find me, that's all my stuff if you want. So yeah, hopefully you got value from this video. Let me know if there are any other guides that you want covered. And this doc is in the description. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.